You are about to witness history in the making.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Pop Culture Gamers podcast. This is show number 155. I'm Haydn, and I'm here as always with Steve. Steve, welcome back.
Cheers.
How have you been?
Not bad, not bad. Busy as usual with work and everything else, and in between that you slot your games in. What else have we been up to? Finally got to record the Exodus podcast with Film 89 that went live a few days ago. Haven't watched much TV, although I've been watching a little bit of MasterChef with the missus because we sort of always watch that. And I'm not in the mood to watch anything of any sort of shape or size at the moment. That's that you want to dive into. So when we get to movies, TV, when we get to movies and that, I think there's one movie we'll talk about and you'll hate it.
Right.
I know you will. The whole world will know you will. Other than that, what else? I picked this up because it's been sitting on my radar for quite a while. And I have got now.
Oh, The Wicker Man.
It's a 5-disc box set.
Wow.
All 3 different versions, all in 4K. Comes nicely open, you see like that.
Oh, very nice.
And then there's some nice postcards from the island. Yeah, really nice. I've been seeing that there for donkeys on Amazon, but I was able to pick it up, which was handy. And we're leading up to Halloween. And this arrived.
I've got that one. Yeah, I've got that one.
So this one, anthology number 2, this turned up last week from Scared.
Oh, is it number 2? Sorry, I thought it was the
first
one.
No.
Yeah.
This is a new one, yeah. So this one here, which I've got in a blue and white vinyl. This has Halloween 3, some more Escape from New York, a bit more Big Trouble in China, some more of They Live, Salt Creek 13, Halloween 2, Halloween 3. It has the 3 thing Lost Cues as well on here, and some other themes from the other of his movies as well. But yeah, it's a nice one. This one, it's just been released over the last week, so that's cool. And yeah, that's about it really. Not too much. Gaming, of course, has been a bit hectic. We'll chat about that. I haven't played Destiny for about a month.
My God, shares in...
They must have dipped big time,
The company will be going bankrupt.
So, happy to say, let me sip my whiskey and you can tell me about what you've been getting up to, pal.
Where do I start? So...
Happy anniversary, by the way, didn't start there.
Sorry, what was that?
Happy anniversary, by the way.
Oh, right, thank you. Yeah, 20 years. So two consecutive life sentences, in other words.
That's as long as I've been with my company. Well, actually, I've been with them 22 years, but yeah.
Yeah, 20 years we've been married. So, and it all happened on that day because not only was it 20 years married, it was on the same day I also had my last governors meeting. So,
because you were quitting that, weren't you?
Yeah, just because it was conflicts of interest, or it was starting to become a conflict of interest with my day job, which is obviously safeguarding children and the stuff that I do with schools. So, although I'm still a governor at the school until next month, I'm stepping down effectively and that's the end of my term of office.
Right.
So I've done 4 years there. But I've been obviously a school governor for 11 years, 12 years, something like that.
Okay.
And then I also started my new role.
Which is?
I'm a parish councillor.
Is that like the guy? Is that like the guy in Dad's Army?
No. I'm basically, it's like the parish council's what looks after the village, sort of thing. And there's obviously funding for the village and stuff like that. And, it's about talking about any problems people have in the village, like stuff about roadworks and stuff like that, dog poo and No, that'd be the diocese.
Oh, okay.
Although diocese can say to the parish council, "Have you got any spare money?" sort of thing.
Oh, bracket at the minute. Sorry.
Yeah. So I've taken over that. I was asked if I would like to join the parish council. So I thought, well, yeah, go on then. Might as well. Seeing as I've stepped down of doing the other.
Is that going to take a bit of time off you at all in any shape or form?
Nowhere near as much as being a school governor.
So you still get your 1,000 game score a month easy then, I'm sure.
I think it was like close to 10,000 last month.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it was a bit of a quiet month last month. So yeah, done that. What else have been doing? So I did my back in, so I couldn't go to a conference at London last week, which is a shame because I was really looking forward to it, because it was a charity I work with called the Marie Collins Foundation, and it was about online abuse of children and young people. I was really looking forward to that. Last year, I met somebody from a charity in the Ukraine and got them to come and talk to, I deliver a monthly masterclass to professionals in North Yorkshire, and I got her to talk about children and young people coming over from the Ukraine because of the war, dealing with kids with trauma and stuff like that, which was incredibly useful. So yeah, you get to do, you get to meet lots of different interesting people, but unfortunately I couldn't do it. So my line manager went instead, so I'm looking forward to hearing what she saw there and heard there. Picked up the latest big release this week.
What, Forza?
No, because that's officially released next week. You're on early access. People
thinking I just did it just to be early, but I'll explain that later.
Yeah, you did it to be early, we know. And you always buy the ultimate pack as well.
I do, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it happens to have 5 days early, so win-win.
Yeah. So done that. I've been seemingly been demented with releasing YouTube videos, but it's been paying off because we've had, I know it's still pathetically small growth in comparison to, like someone like Mr. Beast would get these amount of, followers in a second. But we're 8 off our next milestone now. So, that's not bad considering it's only been about a month in terms of that, growth from 200 to 250. So, yeah, my son laughs at the very few followers that we actually have subscribed on YouTube. So if you are watching this, then click on that subscribe button down there. Just that big red one. Press that.
If you're colourblind, we'll make it. Yeah, we'll give it a different colour for you.
It's the one that says subscribe. Click that, and then click the bell icon as well. Then you'll get notified of these great videos as well, because stuff's going up daily at the moment.
It is.
So yeah, and I've got some quite interesting ones. I've got we'll talk a bit more about it later on, but obviously one of the games I've been playing, the Quarry. Yeah, and I downloaded the RoboCop Rogue City demo and had a go on that, and that's quite good actually. I mean, it's not optimized yet, but it's a demo, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's never going to be perfect. But we'll talk about that later on. And then finally, this week, can't believe it's already round here. I'm off to the big smoke. I'm going to London because I am going to EGX. So
it's been a long time since I last went there, I must admit.
Yeah, well, it's actually a school teacher training day. So my son's off as well, so we're both going together. I was originally going on my own.
Is it the docks this time, is it, in London?
I can't remember, to be honest. I just thought, oh yeah, okay, we'll go there. So yeah, quite looking forward to getting there. So yeah, it should be fun, I think. What else? That's about it. Just looking forward to getting to London, actually, because I haven't been for about a year actually. So yeah, I like going down to London a couple of times a year if I can, but the last decade obviously not got that down that often, but my previous job was going down every other week, so
that was handy, wasn't it? But obviously, what's been going on in the last few years.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's about me, really. So yeah.
Oh,
okay, so I think that's the intros done. So shall we go on to gaming this week?
No longer a dream, but a reality.
All right, Steve. So I haven't put any news in because, to be honest, I haven't been keeping my ear to the
news.
So you picked up anything?
The only thing I do know about, and I saw it as a headline, is that the Bethesda acquisition should be finalised by Friday the 13th.
It's an auspicious day.
It is, isn't it? So yeah, we'll get to see what happens about that. But yeah, news-wise, I haven't heard too much really at the moment. Only the gaming news. Obviously, there's a lot more games coming out at the moment. Everyone's reviewing them. Some people are still trying to review Starfield. You've got to complete it first, and you've got to be, So there's ongoing reviews at the moment. For your Forza Motorsport as well, and Cyberpunk. Cool.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm just not bothered about Cyberpunk, to be honest.
That's a class game. You are missing out there. Because you do like RPGs, so,
I do, but I didn't enjoy Cyberpunk last time. And I know that it's been updated and stuff like that, but I don't know, it's just, there's something about the universe that just didn't really appeal to me that much.
Well, it's that Blade Runner style, isn't it? It's must be you would have thought that'd been appealing for you, to be fair.
To be honest, I kind of feel like if it is Blade Runner style, if you want to call it like that, it's sort of like a poor man's Blade Runner.
Well, no, I mean, it ain't Blade Runner, but it's that sort of cyber world, isn't it? So
yeah,
we'll talk about that a bit later when I get onto it.
Okay. Do you want to do the charts?
Okie doke. All right, so bear with me as I have to scroll these because the PC is having a bit of a mare. So Forza Motorsport on PC and Xbox. We have got Little Gator Games on all platforms, except for Nintendo. Better Quest 3, October the 10th. We've got Roblox on the PS4. That's a bit of a weird one.
Roblox.
Yeah.
That's it. That's a kids one. It's a free. Well,
yeah.
Supposed to be a free thing.
Wildcard Football on all platforms, October the 10th. We've got The Front on the PC. Honkai Star Rail on the PS5. We have got Total War Pharaoh on the PC. Company of Heroes Collection on the Switch. Haunted House on all platforms. The Grinch Christmas Adventure. Why too early? October 13th. Lords of the Fallen on PC, PS5 and Xbox Series X. Transformers Earthspark Expedition on all platforms. SpongeBob SquarePants The Cosmic Shake on PS5 and Xbox Series X. Cyberknights Flashpoint on PC. Diablo 4 Season of Blood Is that the new? Is that the new season?
New season, yeah.
Yeah. All platforms. Sonic Superstars again, all platforms. This is October the 17th. Alskin Road Truckers PC, October 18th. The seventh guest VR on PC, VR Quest and PVSR 2 on October the 19th. Agatha Christie Murder on the Orient Express. That'd be interesting. On all platforms. Airport Sim on the PC. Chaos on Wheels on the PC. Endless Dungeon on all platforms except for the Nintendo. Forgive Me Father 2 on the PC, October 19th. Gangs of Sherwood, PC, PS5 and Xbox Series X. The Gap on all platforms except for the Nintendo boys. The Jackbox Party Pack 10, PC, PS4, Xbox and Switch. Operation Valor on the PC on the 19th. October the 20th, we've got Marvel Spider-Man 2, which I'm sure a lot of people will be looking forward to. And also Super Mario Brothers Wonder on the Switch, October 20th.
Yeah, my son's really looking forward to Super Mario Bros.
And I think a lot of people that, from the obviously PlayStation side, will be looking forward to Spider-Man 2.
He's not bothered about that, but that's the one that I'm waiting, chomping at the bit to get hold of, basically.
So I think that's going to be their biggest game of the month, isn't it? Of the last couple of months, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, all good.
Yeah,
Do you know Game Pass? Have you been looking into that, or is that blank?
That's just blank. Although, obviously because we're at the 8th as we record this, it's kind of a bit passive. People want to know what's on it. They've already have got it, really. Although I do think PS Plus had good games this month, didn't they?
Don't know. You should be able to tell me that.
Yes. So, 1 second. Yeah, there was the Callisto Protocol, which is the sort of offshoot of Dead Space, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
Farming Simulator 2022 and Weird West, which I don't know what that is, but
that sounds rather odd, doesn't it?
Yeah, but the Callisto Protocol, I think, is a good one to get. I haven't played much of it. I did buy it, but it's one I've sort of bought and have not got back around to. Okay, so in that case, then, Steve, what have you been playing this week or this last couple of weeks?
Last week. So, should we start with Starfield?
Yeah.
So I've completed the story on Starfield. And
how long did that take?
100 and something hours.
So you've put the timing on it then?
Oh God, yeah. The thing is, I haven't. So as you know, there's so many different quests and there's different sort of groups you can get involved with, throughout the galaxy. So I didn't do too many of those because I thought I can carry on doing those with the New Game Plus. I do like the way the story works. Obviously, it's a bit unfair at the moment to say how it works, how it ends, but I'm sure plenty of people might want to know. Or we all know that New Game Plus comes in and you lose all that good stuff you've had, all the money and all the ships and everything else. But so people are on New Game Plus 10, 15, 20. I can see how they're doing it, which I don't really want to give away that at the moment. But I must say that the story I thought was really good. I think the only annoying part of Starfield is when you're collecting your powers, which I think by now we can at least say about that. Because at the end of the day, you're looking for temples, and you get inside a temple, and you got to collect these orbs, and this thing spins, and you go inside it, and you get your power, and it all goes pretty lovely and flash, bang, whatever. So that's a bit repetitive, but nevertheless, I did enjoy the story. I did try, because there's two ways you can go for the story. I did both to see if it was 2 achievements, but it wasn't. But yeah, I've gone into New Game Plus. I've gone back to Constellation. I can because you have the what the Constellation were after originally when you start playing the game, and that sits in the middle of their room, doesn't it? You remember you seeing that when you were in there the first time. Well, that now sits on my ship for reasons why I won't explain. There's so much I could say, I can't really, but it sits on my ship at the moment. I've gone back to Constellation New Game Plus. Nobody knows who I am. That's all I'm going to say. Although my wife said to me, "Do I recognise you?" So, hey ho. But there's reasons for that, which I don't really want to explain. I'm sure some bits on Facebook and everywhere else. It was very clever, and the way New Game Plus works, I get it. People don't really maybe understand that, but I do understand that they're trying to give you that second playthrough. And yeah, it's very different on how that works, especially when you get the cool spaceship as well. You get with it as well. And then early next year we'll have the DLC. Should we call it DLC or expansion? Probably expansion.
Right, I didn't know they were doing an expansion on it.
Yeah, it's already in the works. But yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't want to, as much as I've done 125 hours or whatever it is now, and all the other games coming out, I thought, well, I'm going to just take a step back. I can carry on playing the game. I can go and do different things there and work with it, to my heart's content. But just I didn't want to burn out too much, as say 125 hours or so. It probably could be burnout for some people. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I look forward to going back in New Game Plus to just do some more. It's a shame that obviously you won't get very far with it, will you? To be fair.
No, I don't think I will.
No. So you probably did about 2 hours, I think, wasn't it? Maybe if you're lucky.
Yeah, and that's about all that I have done with it as well. So I did do like a recording of the first hour or so, and I didn't get much further than that, to be fair.
Yeah. But it's very clever. Bethesda have confirmed that they are doing another Fallout 5, which will fit in somewhere, I suppose, after the latest Skyrim Elder Scrolls. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I look forward to the new DLC. But in the meantime, after I've got through the other games, I'll probably then go back to it and do some more. But for now, I think it was well worth what I didn't pay for it. And we'll move on from there with it, really. But it's a shame that you can't. I know your game you're going to talk about in a bit. That's your Bethesda style game, shall I say? What you'll be talking about?
Yeah.
You've got your own.
Yeah, I go more for the Ubisoft sort of games rather than the Bethesda.
Yeah. I haven't played a Bethesda, a Ubisoft game for some time now. So I skipped Valhalla anyway. But yeah,
to be honest, you weren't missing much on Valhalla. It was too long and too complicated. The skill tree on Valhalla was a joke. It was utterly ridiculous. It was massively long, way too long. And the progression in Valhalla, I just think, was tortuous. And I kind of felt I got to a point in Valhalla where I couldn't actually progress anymore because either I emptied the areas or everybody was so overpowered compared to where I was, I couldn't kill them. And that just sort of like made me give up on it. I completed the actual Valhalla sort of bit where you were supposed to be one of the gods. I think you were supposed to be Thor in it. But then I went back, to my settlement and I was just a normal person again. And I just thought, I can't be bothered with this. But I do keep thinking maybe I should go back to Valhalla. But then I think, well, there's some other Assassin's Creeds before that haven't completed before, like Syndicate, like Rogue. and like Liberation. So you know, I've started those.
Yeah, I get that, really, you know, because you played some of the Ubisoft games. You played probably a couple back. You played it 2 or 3 times, haven't you?
I've 100%ed on achievements and completed the story on Odyssey twice, and I'm on the 3rd playthrough, and this is a PC version.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's you know, it's what we like. We're not all the same at the end of the day. We can be to a certain degree. We're all gamers, but we all like our games differently, and we sort of all digest them differently as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool. So the next game, let's talk about Forza. So this is being released, I think early next week, isn't it? Tuesday. So, like what you could do with on Game Pass with Starfield, you could buy the premium pack attached to the download, and you could get it early. However, not realising now that it's been 6 years since the last Forza, I couldn't believe that. Every Forza I've bought, I've always had the VIP pass.
I think we should qualify through. It's been 6 years since the last Forza Motorsport.
Yeah, exactly.
Forza Horizon.
No, I'm not talking about. No, I'm going to say Forza Motorsport. The last one was 6 years ago.
Because they were hopscotching each other, weren't they? It was like you'd have one Motorsport to one Horizon, and then it'd swap back.
And then it just, obviously, Forza with the new console and everything else coming out, that they pulled back and concentrated on what we've got now. So what we've got then, so we have 20 tracks this time, and they're built from the ground up this time. There's a few new ones we haven't had before. What's nice is that we've got Maple Valley back, which is one of the original Forza tracks of old.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely gorgeous. We have full dynamic time of day and weather, living crowds, and tracks with the rubber in and reaction for temperature changes. And they've really gone to town in it, and I just can't believe how good this looks.
It's a Nürburgring in it.
Of course it is, yeah. It's every year, yeah. I could actually, if you want, because I've got it on my, got it alongside me, I can tell you what all the tracks are. So if I go into the free play, which what I have been doing just for a couple of recording some videos and bits and pieces, so if I go back, so you got the Catalonia circuit in Barcelona, you got the Spa-Francorchamps, which is the Formula One track. You've got Eagle Rock Speedway, you've got Grand Oak Raceway, you've got the Japanese circuit, Hack 1, you've got the Homestead Miami Speedway track, you've got Indianapolis Motor Speedway track, you've got the Kalama Grand Prix circuit, you've got the Le Mans circuit, Lime Rock Park, Maple Valley, of course, Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, you've got the Mugello circuit, you've got the Nürburgring, which includes obviously the 17 miles of running around with a car of your own. You've got Road America, Silverstone Race Circuit, Suzuka, you've got the Virgin International Raceway, Watkins Glen International, WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Sec, and that's about it. So plenty of tracks there to get into.
And presumably they've got reversed versions of the tracks as well.
Yeah, because you'll have, obviously, the main track would be broken into smaller tracks as well. So you can do it like that. 500 cars. I think they weren't concentrating too much on that because they want to concentrate more on how the game plays. But yeah, even though they said they were going to cut it short, 500 cars, I think maybe something similar to last time. I can't remember. The game's pretty interesting because this time now you're earning a level with yourself playing the game, and also you're earning levels with the car you're driving. So as you drive a car within the game on a track, you will level it up. As you level it up, they will give you parts which you can then add on to your vehicle as you get points as well. So you get that sort of progression throughout the game. The VIP obviously gives you a few hundred, gives you a few more different types of cars that you wouldn't get in the standard, but then again, quite a few people like to do that. I started with the Builder's Cup career mode. Obviously, gently puts you into the car. You go around and do a few tracks on the getting to know it and then doing the race. It's pretty standard stuff, but it just looks so good. I cannot get over how much if I had the time when I'm not racing, but just to pull over and look at what I'm looking at. It's it's pretty outstanding. And what they're going to be doing is they'll be adding tracks throughout the year and giving more cars as well. So this is a game that's going to be set for some time to be with us. It will be, I imagine, quite a few years we'll be playing it.
Yeah.
The online multiplayer is back as well. So I do like giving that a go occasionally, especially if you can get your own team together to do it. You can do it yourself.
Are your driver tars there as well?
They are, but they don't have the name of other cars anymore.
All right, okay.
But when you see the race, when you get to the podium point, it will tell you who they are. And so, yeah, that still works as well. Also,
so I'm not going to be cursing your name when you cut me off and knock me
funny.
to the side of the road.
No, it's funny. You know, when you go up against, like you like to drift a car to get around a bend sometimes.
Yeah.
There's now sparks coming off the vehicle. It looks really bright sparks. So they really have gone into a bit of detail.
I do know when I've looked at it, the weather effects and that, it looks absolutely incredible. It looks almost photorealistic.
Oh, it does. The reflections you get off the vehicles are just incredible. It really are. It's just something. It's something to wonder how much effort they put into it. So from the video spec side of things, you've got 3 types of graphics you can play with. So you've got Performance RT, which I normally run, which is visuals maximum 4K with ray tracing at 30 frames per second.
30 FPS.
Sorry, so I'll start again. So if I just go to the other one there. So performance, which is recommended, that prioritizes 60 frames per second on a track, performance with 4K resolution. Performance RT enables a track ray tracing at 60 frames per second with variable resolution. And then you've got visuals, which is a maximum of 4K visual quality on the track with ray tracing at 30 frames per second.
So there isn't a 120 megahertz mode?
There will be on the PC, I'm sure. Obviously, that's a different scenario.
Well, the Xbox can output to that, can't it?
Yeah, so obviously they do actually like to give it its common denominator when you're playing these games. But to be honest, I play it with Performance RT.
Yeah.
And I will try the others actually just to see what it actually difference is. But yeah, no, because you're going so fast, 60 frames is fine. 30 frames is probably even just as fine anyway. Especially when you're getting as old as you or I now.
Speak for yourself, mate. I can tell the difference.
That's only because you're on PC.
Well, all of the elite gamers are on PC.
Yeah. But it's incredible. It's an incredible game. I think when people get their hands on it on Tuesday next week, they'll be looking forward to it. It's so good. Even for yourself, just to download it.
I'll be downloading it and playing it. Yeah.
And we might be able to, pop on there and do our own multiplayer race or something.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. It is stunning. They got a couple of new cars, which are the headliners for this, with the Cadillac Racing V Series R and the 2024 Chevrolet Corvette E-Ray as well, which you can drive as well. So yeah, really pleased with that game. It's a long time coming. I mean, I don't mind Forza Horizon. It's something about racing on racetracks, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's more of a simulation in terms of motorsport, whereas Horizon is more arcadey.
Yeah, that's right. And it'd be interesting. There are a few videos there if you want to watch on trying to compare it to Gran Turismo.
Well, anybody who'll be watching will be seeing the videos that you've been doing anyway, Steve, because I've overlaid them over you. If you're watching a podcast, you can see it. But if you're not watching a podcast, come over and subscribe.
But I did do because obviously I was trying to swap to different views and stuff like that. So occasionally I might hit another vehicle. That wasn't intentional, but no, I've got quite a few achievements already on that game now. I've got a good 10 or 12, I think, so far.
Yeah. Good stuff.
So the third game, as I say, we talked about earlier. So Cyberpunk 2027. So if you weren't aware, or you did it under a rock, they've now got a patch 2.01. And they were eyeing, it was 2.0, but they've just tweaked it a bit more now. And they have been tweaking it so much now. How gorgeous this looks. I mean, even apparently on the PC, it's amazing. For someone like yourself to look at this, you would be out, probably jaw dropping. So looking into this, and with the new the Phantom DLC, we're going to call it the expansion Liberty. I was looking at the best way to play the game. So I already played it once and completed it. I started a second playthrough as a different start because you've got 3 different scenarios to play the game. So I thought, well, let me start from scratch. I think that's what I'll do. So apparently it's better to do a game from scratch to appreciate all the new hard work that's gone into the game with the patch. And I've literally, at the point I've come to now, is where the expansion just suddenly kicked in. So for those that have played the game before, there's a mission where with V, whether it's a he or a she, depending how you've been playing the game, you have to go to a church and you see the Voodoo Boys and you're trying to find out what happened to Evelyn Parker. So as soon as that mission is over, you can go straight into the DLC, which I've started to do.
So in terms of this new DLC, it's an offshoot of the main story then? It's not like a separate standalone sort of chapter?
No, because in the map, it sits in the map anyway.
Right.
So the Badlands, where it all happens, that it sits on the map as we see it now.
Now, I was thinking Red Dead Redemption with the zombies.
Yeah.
Was sort of like, it was on the map, but it was
offshoot.
It was a complete offshoot.
No, I think Phantom Liberty, I'm guessing it'd be interesting to anyone that hasn't got the DLC, that you can probably still go to the Badlands.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, but probably can't maybe do the story. Obviously, we've got Idris Elba is in this time. And I will say that this is not really spoiler because it's right at the very beginning. When I first when I get a phone call from this songbird, whoever she is, and she take over Keanu Reeves' space in your head because you're dealing with some stuff to do with the president of the United States.
Right.
So I've literally just got to start it. It is a great game. I know a lot of people fell foul with the game when it originally came out. And obviously with the PlayStation 5, they took it off the market, didn't they, on the store, giving people refunds. But it's such a cracking game now. It's well worth your time. If you've already picked it up and never went back, is to even purchase the DLC.
Yeah.
And give it a good start from scratch with that. Couple of things I noticed, funnily enough, just yesterday when I was playing it, I was riding a motorbike and I parked up on the road, but you had the heat haze and the smoke coming out of the vehicle, out the back of the bike. And that was never there before. I'm very sure of it. And I was watching the cars that were sitting at sets of traffic lights. We all got smoke coming out of the cars. Just little things like that I noticed.
Be interested to see if some of these details, because I don't know if is patch 2 available for Xbox One and PS4.
Probably, I don't think so.
No.
Because it. So the Phantom Liberty is out for PC, PlayStation 5, and Series X.
But Phantom Liberty's not the patch, is it? That's the DLC.
That's the DLC, yeah. But I'm guessing version 2.0. I don't know how far it got, whether it is on that or not, if it could take it. I don't really know.
Because I wouldn't have thought those systems would have been strong enough to be able to support all of that level of detail.
Yeah. Funnily enough, there were some issues with the expansions on the updates and the size, where it was bigger on the Xbox and smaller on the PC. And there were some issues originally with when you load up the game, it would tell you to re-download the game and also the Phantom DLC. But that had been fixed anyway, I think, from what I'm hearing.
Patch 2's not coming to the PS4 or Xbox One.
It probably couldn't run it. But yeah, no. There's if you go to CD Projekt Red's website and go to the game, you can see all the patches and what they've done to the game there.
Yeah.
But it's thoroughly good looking. Hopefully, from what you see while I'm here rambling on, you'll see some footage. And what I will do maybe next week is then get into a bit of the DLC and see where that takes me, because it is a fantastic game. I mean, as much as it is for me for this, and Ubisoft for you, you could spend hours in this game. You really can.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like to say between this and Starfield. I mean, two different games completely. One's been much older than the other. But yeah, no, there's some great stuff in this game, and just how they got it working now. It's just fantastic. Really, really good. But yeah, you would have. I think it's even much better on PC. Obviously, you're running on really high spec there.
Yeah.
And it's just drop dead gorgeous,
Well, but I might download it and check it out and just see how patch 2 looks. You never know; it might reignite my excitement for the game.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, obviously we're talking pre now, but when you have a look at some of the footage, I'll give you a load of videos you can download off me, and you can have a look. But yeah, I mean, I played the game now. I'm on my third playthrough, even though I didn't complete the second playthrough as much. Haven't got a problem. I don't think there'll be any more DLC after this. They'll be going on to the second version of the game for number 2 from here onwards, I think.
I would have thought Witcher would have been next, wouldn't it?
I don't know, but I know they want to do a second game to this.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah, it depends on what else is going on. But yeah, fantastic game. Also, one note is as well, if you played the game and you're halfway through, because of the way the systems work, you will get all your perks given back to you, so all the points you earn.
So it gives you a bit of a boost to the beginning of the game.
Well, no. So if I was halfway through the game and I earned about 28 perks on the skill trees. Because of the way in the complexity of how it works, they give them back to you to re-add them.
Right.
And you can take it on and off as much as you want and change what character you play. Whether you want to play more, playing into hacking more as an edge runner or something, or you want to do that and make everything more technical, or do you know what I mean? There's different builds and ways you can play the game. So yeah, fantastic. Absolutely love it. So yeah.
Good stuff.
Cool. Also, I think it also gives you. I've not seen it on Netflix. There's a Edge Runner cartoon, anime style.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all interlinked with it as well.
Yeah, that was released a little while ago now, wasn't it? A few months back.
Yeah. So yeah, very good. Okay, I've bored you enough now. How about yourself? Well, I carry on drinking.
Right. So for me, the big release for me has been Assassin's Creed Mirage, because, well, I'm a big Assassin's Creed fan. I've loved the franchise for years since it was released. So I ended up picking up the PS4 version. And you might think, why did you pick up the PS4 version? Why not the PC version? Why not the Xbox version? And the answer is, well, there's a couple of answers. First off, the PC version always seems to be the poor cousin in terms of it gets the port and then it has the problems. And there have been some people who have been saying that the PC version has problems with the combat. Xbox didn't get it on there because they have a deal with Ubisoft for Game Pass, so I'm quite sure I'll probably get it for free at some point. So there's no point in buying it. And then I got it on the PS4 because you get the free upgrade to PS5 and the achievement or the trophies are separate, so I get double the amount of trophies.
Silly me.
Yeah, so there was a logic
to be fair, without me looking at my notes, I would have thought my question would have been, I'm sure you can upgrade for free from PS4 to PS5.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Was there a difference in price between the two?
No.
Okay, so it didn't make any difference anyway then.
No, other than the fact that I get double a lot of the trophy. So effectively speaking, I get another reason to play it again. So I'm actually playing through on the PS4 version of the game. And just on the PS4 version, it looks absolutely beautiful. I mean, all of the Assassin's Creed games in the recent years have looked absolutely beautiful, with the exception of Valhalla, and that was just because it made England look sort of like overgrown and mucky. Whereas, all of the ones that tend to be in, the sort of areas like Baghdad or wherever, Egypt, those sort of countries, they always look a lot cleaner than the ones that have been in England. For some reason, we just seem to be a bit, they seem to be portrayed a bit grimy, but the game looks absolutely beautiful.
Which version did you buy?
The launch version.
So that's not the with all the extra bits then?
Yeah, it is.
The deluxe edition, was it? Is that what we call it now?
No, this was the launch version, so I got a map and stuff like that in it.
Just on the Xbox to see what editions they have.
Yeah.
So it's only 5 a difference, because actually it's not bad price. What did you pay on the PlayStation?
The version I bought it for was 36 quid.
Okay.
But I bought it from an online retailer rather than buying a digital version, so mine's a physical copy.
Right, okay.
Otherwise I think it's about 45 quid.
Well, looking here, it's the standard edition for the Series X is $44.99.
Yeah. And
the deluxe edition, which comes with Mirage Deluxe Pack, The Art of Assassin's Creed, Mirage Digital Art Book and Soundtrack at $49.99. And to be fair, like I did with the past did with Forza, I paid that with Microsoft points, the bulk of it basically, because I've been really hammering. I've got another £25 ready to cash in. So maybe a little later I might pick up Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I would, because it is actually, it's quite, even though it was originally going to be DLC for Valhalla, this is Assassin's Creed going back to basics a little.
So I preferred the original and the trilogy. I think were the best games. I think actually Assassin's Creed 2 as well was a class game as well. I think.
Yeah. I mean, to me, Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Odyssey, and then Origins are my sort of like order. Well, the ones I think are all of the best ones. Although I would say I probably like Odyssey an awful lot, but it's less assassin, because you you don't have the Brotherhood and stuff like that.
Mm.
In the game.
I did. So I enjoyed the one in Paris or wherever that, in France.
Yeah, Unity.
And also the one in England. I did enjoy that as well.
Syndicate.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I've got.
Or Valhalla, whichever one you mean. You meant.
Yeah, well, Valhalla is the only one I don't own. I own everything else.
Yeah. I presumed you meant Syndicate when you said.
Syndicate, yeah.
So, why you might like this one is because obviously Assassin's Creed has become a very typical Ubisoft game in the thing of you add more of the same stuff and people will like it better sort of mentality. So more find quests, more map, more whatever. And that tends to be, or has been for a few years now, the Ubisoft sort of ethos, which is just, keep adding extra bits to the game that are not to do with the main campaign and doing all these side quests. And people have got a bit overwhelmed with them.
I think that was the case with it, especially
with Valhalla.
Yeah, and even with Odyssey probably, and the one before that, they probably were quite dense on the map.
Well, I mean, Odyssey was what was it, about 60 hours, I think, to complete the main campaign for me. And then
remind me, so Odyssey was the Egyptian one?
No, that was Origins.
Okay,
yeah. Odyssey was the one where you were either Cassandra or Alexius.
Yeah.
So in this new game, you play Basim, who was one of the characters on Valhalla.
Okay.
And it's basically his origin story. So the map is much scaled down. You don't have the massive map of Assassin's Creed Odyssey or the Origins and stuff like that. You've basically got what would have been a couple of the smaller areas, the sectors that were within that game. So it's like not much bigger than probably the island that you start off with almost. They are much more compact in terms of that. And what they've tried to do is go for more quality and less quantity in the game. And there are a lot of people who are just jumping on the bandwagon with this and saying, oh, this is an awful game. And there are a lot of people who say this is a brilliant game as well. But I think if anybody says this is an awful game, they are not an Assassin's Creed fan. And why bother reviewing it? Because you're not going to like the game. It'd be like me reviewing FIFA. Do you know what I mean?
So is there really quite a few people then giving this game a bit of grief?
I've seen a few YouTubers, but to be honest, I think a lot of these YouTubers tend to like to do dissing sort of videos just to get themselves viewed, because people will look at them, whereas
people like to rant, don't they? So
and to be honest, a lot of the stuff that they're ranting about is just utter rubbish. The game is, from what I've played of it, and I've played a few hours of it now, the game is sound, it looks good. They've scaled down the map, they've certainly scaled down the skill tree. It's a lot smaller than it was in Valhalla, because I still struggle with that on Valhalla. I just look at it and I just go, no, can't be bothered with it, and it just puts me off the game entirely. It was the worst skill tree they've done in any Assassin's Creed game. I mean, not that they've done many of them, but basically the weapons, you don't really, you can upgrade them, but you don't need to keep buying new ones to get more powerful ones, because the idea is that you upgrade a lot of the weapons as well. I've already mentioned a beautiful environment. There's obviously the main quest, which can be completed in somewhere between 20 and 30 hours. And then the full completion will probably take you about 36, 37 hours, which is, less than that. That's almost like the opening intros to Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because you seem to be playing that forever before the titles come up. But I quite like Basim as a character. He seems quite all right. The AI is a bit dumb in this game.
In what way?
In the way that you can kill someone in front of an AI sometimes, and it sort of like doesn't notice, or just sort of like goes, "Oh, he's dead. There's no one around. That's okay," and then he just goes and does what he was doing again. Whereas when you look in Odyssey, it's like once you triggered off the AI, it took them ages to settle down, and you'd have someone come and fetch a body and take the body somewhere and stuff like that. There's not that level of detail in this one, but it is more of a callback to the Assassin's Creed original game. In a matter of fact, there is actually a graphic mode that you can do, so it makes everything look bluer, and I think it reduces the frame rate as well, so it's more in keeping with the original game. And when you actually play that mode, it looks very similar to the original game, because obviously it's like similar sort of era, the costumes, that sort of stuff. So yeah, they've done that really nicely. The combat, you're still using the bumper and trigger to do the combat, but there is now a parry, which is obviously what the original Assassin's Creed and Assassin's Creed 2 had. So you can parry an attack as long as it's not an unstoppable attack, which goes red, which you've got to use a dodge. And then when you parry, that will knock back the person, and that allows you to go in for the attack.
Okay.
There are different weapons, and that's smoke grenades are back as well. So you can use that to escape or to kill big bunches of enemies. And you can also upgrade things like your sleeping dart to a poison dart, and your grenade to an explosive grenade. Do
you have feathers to hunt around for? Or
there are things. There are things to hunt around for, but not feathers. No. But obviously, feathers are a part of the Assassin's Creed lore.
That's right. That's why I thought they might have had those again, scattered around the.
You've got your eagle vision, but you also have your eagle as well.
So you can scan an area, and
you can scan an area, and you can also then have your like extrasensory perception sort of eagle vision, which you would use for things like doing pickpocketing. Pickpocketing has become a bit of a sub game, which is just basically a quick time event. You go up to somebody who's got a pouch on them, because not everybody does, and then you would you press to pickpocket, and then you've got to press, I think it's X or X or the square button with just as this thing starts to shrink down. I didn't realize this when I first started, so I was playing the pickpocketing element, but to be honest, I didn't like the mechanic, and you can switch it off, so you can just do auto pickpocket.
What about is there like loads of so when you go to the top of an area,
there's the leaps of faith and the vantage points that you've got to synchronize with. That's all of those mechanics are all in there, but it's more in keeping with the original Assassin's Creed game, but with a modern twist.
I think what a lot of people didn't like, I thought personally, that they like to stay in their element but not come out into modern day too much.
I haven't got into any modern day.
You know what I mean?
I don't know if it's further on in the game, but I haven't come into any modern day yet, because personally I think that that's what they've got to get rid of in Assassin's Creed, because either do a game where it's all the future, because there was two reasons why people didn't like Revelations. First off, it was the tower defense game that they'd put in there, which really felt like it was shoehorned in. And then secondly was all of the Desmond stuff. People weren't bothered about that. People wanted Ezio.
And they wanted to be in that world, not in the real world, should we say? And that's where it let it down a bit, I think. And that is exactly where that game was let down.
But so far I haven't come up against any Animus stuff, and I'm happy with that. I mean, obviously, it starts off with talking about Animus and Basim's memories, and they weren't able to be recovered, but now they can. So maybe something will happen later on in the game, but it's not where I am.
Yeah.
So I've not seen anybody talking about it either, because that's normally one of the things that you see people complaining about. But yeah, it's just a cut down, smaller version of Assassin's Creed, more in akin to the original one or Assassin's Creed 2 than anything else.
Yeah.
There's loads of costumes to buy as well. You have to open chests and pickpocket people and take them off, people who you're attacking to get these tokens. And there's like vendor tokens and other tokens. And if you get so many vendor tokens, you can get up to, I think, about a 30% discount on, you're buying stuff from vendors. Got throwing knives back, which are normally a one-hit kill. And then you've got like heavily armored guys who, if you try and attack them, you're not going to do any damage. But what you do is shoot a dart into the leg, a sleep dart, and then they'll fall down, and then you just kill them while they're on the ground. But then there's ones that have, a defense against that as well, which there's other ways to kill those, but I'll let you find those out yourself. So yeah, there's a lot in the game for the cost, because obviously it's not the full, 80 quid, which seems to be the average now for a PlayStation game. But
even Xbox.
And even Xbox, yeah, because you knew that Xbox were going to follow suit as well. But yeah, it's 80 quid. Oh, so it's not 80 quid. It's £45 on the store, or 50 if you want the deluxe edition, which is quite reasonable, and it works out to be just about £1.50 an hour for entertainment. And if you play through it more than once, then it's cheaper than that. But like I said, it's a beautiful world. I don't think they're going to do DLC for this, so I understand. I think this is just going to be as it is. But I'd be quite happy if this is just like the stand-in for the Oriental, Japanese one that they're talking about coming out next.
Well, I think everyone's been asking for that, haven't we? To have getting your blades out and having to do all that,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, actually, if they keep them at this sort of price, and because they're not online either, so you haven't got the online mechanic, have you either? That's not in there.
No, which would ruin it.
Scaling down the size of it reduces the price of the game as well.
I mean, there is going to be an Assassin's Creed Online coming out supposedly, but I have no interest in that. I don't want to play against other players. It's not what I'm interested in.
It's not that sort of game for it.
No.
It's not Call of Duty or anything else like that.
No, to me, Assassin's Creed is about being transferred into the past, into a world that feels like it's living and breathing and is of the time. That to me is what Assassin's Creed is. Something steeped in actual heritage and history that you can learn from in that sort of respect. Or you can explore and see people's theories about how things might have been. It's not a online battle royale at the end of the day. So yeah, so that was Assassin's Creed. I would personally recommend it, but hey, I like Assassin's Creed games. What can you say? The next one is 20 Minutes Until Dawn. So this is one I got with the Humble Bundle. It is Steam Deck compatible as well. And this really comes in hot off the heels of Vampire Survivor, in the fact that it's another 20-minute survival sort of game. Very similar in concept to Vampire Survivor, whereas that was constantly firing you control the firing and the direction and stuff like that, which you had less control over on Vampire Survivor. But other than that, it's the same sort of thing. If you kill enemies to pick up experience with each kill, and when you fill your experience bar at the end of a level, then you'll get to choose a power-up. And that power-up might be to increase your walk speed by 100%, or it might be to double your bullets from your weapon, or it might be to give you extra health, or whatever it is. And then they've got like a skill ring, as it were, rather than a skill tree. So when you upgrade that, if you get the option of the next more powerful upgrade in that list of options, or you can go down another branch and stuff like that, and you can mix and match between them all. So that's the sort of gameplay. Then there are like boss, semi-boss people who come and attack you. I think the one that you get on the first level is just this creature that keeps chasing after you, and you're in a shielded area, and it keeps getting smaller and smaller, and then you've got all of the other monsters that are coming at you at the same time as well. And if that one touches you, basically you die. And it can be quite tough. This game is tougher than Vampire Survivor, definitely. I haven't actually. I got to about 2 minutes left. I was like, didn't want that. It's just another 2 minutes and I'd have been through, as it were. But no, it bettered me at the very last bit. But everything sort of stacks. You can unlock new characters as well, because when you earn the in-game currency, and then at the selection screen you can buy different characters and they have different traits. So there's like one, when they shoot, they also sort of like shoot burning, and it'll burn anything that's there. Or another one might make the bullets bounce, and the bounce rate might cause 50% damage to whatever it bounces onto, or might it be more, might be less. So there's lots of different ways to play it, lots of different characters, and then you've got runes that can do more like power-ups and nerfs and stuff like that as well. So it's quite an interesting sort of little game. It's very much a toilet game. It's the best way to describe it. Or something that you don't need to concentrate too much on. Do you know what I mean? It's just sort of like, right, I'm going to the loo, 20 minutes at the most, that'll do. If you take Steam Deck into the loo. Or whatever, but it's enjoyable. It's got RNG, so you're gonna get that randomness in terms of every game as well. And once you've unlocked first, you got to the 20 minutes on the first level, then you can unlock the next level, and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's worth a go, definitely. I don't think it was very much money, if I remember rightly. Can't actually remember how much it was now. I can tell you in a second. But I've really enjoyed the game, because it's just a very simple pick up and play thing. It's just not complicated. It's switch your brain off and just get on with what it is that you want to do. £4.29. £4.29. So you're not losing an awful lot of money. I mean, the graphics are a little bit basic, a little, quite muted in colour as well. It's sort of like red, sort of like an off black, like a lighter black, as it were, and sort of like a mid green, like a pastel-y sort of colour. So you're not playing it for the graphics. You're playing it because it's a time filler, and it's quite entertaining. And you can get things like lightning bolts and stuff like that as well, and spears that go out. And once you start leveling up your character and you've built up a few of the pickups, you become extremely powerful. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, definitely worth a look for £4.29. And then definitely. And then my last game, it even run on your PC, Steve. I tell you.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. And then my last game is one that you've played already, which is the Quarry.
Yeah. What made you pick this up?
It came in a humble bundle.
Okay.
So I basically got it on my monthly subscription. But yeah, so I've actually, if you're watching this, you'll be able to see it now. If you haven't, don't forget, come and subscribe. But also, I've done a let's play of the first 35 minutes of the game on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, so that's the bit with the police car and everything else.
Yeah.
The early stage of the game.
Yeah, that's right. So I actually cut it off at the end of that. What happens when you go into the cellar?
Yeah, do you know what? It's so gorgeously good looking, isn't it, that game?
I was blown away, basically.
The facial images of the characters, especially when you recognise some of them and you think, you hear their voices,
Yeah.
From Scream and what have you, and Modern Family, it's
yeah, and Santa Clarita Diet as well.
Yeah.
Because the guy driving the vehicle when the police officer, helps him out, he was on that. He was a kid on that.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, it's a supermassive 2K game, so you know what you're getting basically. If you've played any of the other ones, like the what do you call it?
Until Dawn.
Until Dawn. Yeah.
This is my favourite from when I played on the PlayStation.
Have you played any of the other ones? In terms of the supermassive games, because there's all of the Dark Pictures anthology.
I do have those downloaded. Well,
yeah.
say they're in my collection. Let's put it that way. I haven't tried them yet.
Yeah, because
I've got the first 3.
Yeah, because there's 4 in that one, isn't there? But yeah, they've done some really good games. House of Ashes look brilliant as well.
Yeah, that's what I think I have.
Yeah. You'll have Man of Medan, House of Ashes, and I forgot what the middle one was called. I would have thought.
Yeah, and yes, and obviously Until Dawn, which was a favourite of mine.
Yeah.
So good. And again, they got actors in there that you got the guy that played the villain in the last Bond movie in there, haven't you? You got.
Yeah.
There's quite a few. People, actors.
I mean, say ironically, one of the actors who's in The Quarry was in the movie I've been watching, or the trilogy of movies that I've been watching.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, that's right. And it's him, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, you can. It's Dewey. You can definitely tell. Yeah, you can absolutely tell it's him. There is absolutely no doubt. It's like the graphics, and I forgot what his the other guy's name is. It was on Aliens as well. Oh yeah, Aliens. He was the android, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But it looks absolutely amazing, and I haven't got these yet, but there is the alternate filters, so you can get like a 1950s, 60s, and 70s look for the movies.
Haven't you got them open yet? Then
I don't have those as DLC. So the DLC.
I think I've got the whole pack.
I mean, it says I've got the deluxe bonus content pack. the full game, and the horror history visual pack. I do have it. Yeah. So yeah, I think the atmosphere in the game was amazing. How well they've done it. You know, it's like because I was playing it with the lights off and all of that. It was definitely creepy. It was really, really well done. I mean, if you've never played one of these games before, why? But other than that, it's like a Telltale game, but with everything dialed up to 20. Because it's the same basic mechanic as in normally fast time events, choices, different branches, giving you different paths throughout the game, but normally watching a lot of very, very beautiful visual renderings with a really compelling story that obviously you steer your characters through, and you're supposed to be able to, I think in most of the games, save all of the characters, or at least the vast majority of them. Yeah,
there's different scenarios and how you play the game. So I remember I lost my game for some reason. My game save went weird.
Yeah,
I had to restart it. So I did get a fair way through the game to the time. All I say, Campfire in the Woods is where I got to. But I'm going to redo that now. But good game.
Yeah, definitely recommend it. And like I said, that's in this month's Humble Bundle as well. So worth a look, I think. Because if you've not come across Humble Bundle, they're online sort of like company that does part for charity, part for game developers, and then part for themselves. You can choose the split of where what you buy goes to, but basically they do what's known as Humble Choice, which is a selection of games every month. So this month actually we've got the Quarry, Metal Hellsinger, Dark Pictures Anthology House of Ashes, Rebel Inc. Escalation, Spirit of the Island, Lords of Villains, A Juggler's Tale, and Mr. Pepper. And that's
not Dr. Pepper.
No, it's 10 or 11.99 a month, and that's in dollars, I think, as well. So it's cheaper than that. The Mr. Pepper one's actually quite interesting. It's sort of like a reverse 2D Fallout, because you've got to create a Fallout shelter. But it's all 2-dimensional, or like 2D. Do you know what? 2.5D. So you've got to dig underneath it. So in that way, it's probably more like XCOM, where you've got to scavenge the resources, build the underground layer, and stop other people from finding the fact that you've built a bunker. But yeah, that's really quite good. But they do other bundles as well, and they do books, games, and software. So they've got, like, at the moment, a VR set of games on there, narrative control sort of games. So that one's got like Beyond Two Souls, which is brilliant, the new Borderlands game. Sort of like heroic craft indie games, multiplayer mayhem. There's lots of different choices, but it's like this one, it's got 8 games for £14.43. That includes the new Borderlands game, but also Beyond the Steel Sky, as well as Tales from the Borderlands, Beyond Two Souls. So they've got loads on. Definitely worth a look.
There's another game that came out recently that a lot of people have been reviewing, and that is the Lies of P. Have you looked at it yet?
No, because it's while it looks good, I understand it's sort of like another Dark Souls sort of game.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so that just immediately made me turn off interest. I will load it up because it's on Game Pass, and I'll give it a try, but I can't say I'm going to get overly involved in that game.
No.
Other
than that, what we got coming up within the next month? Or?
Next month I've got the Evercade Delphine Cinematic Collection Volume 1. So this is a collection of 4 Amiga games. There's Future Wars, Another World, Operation Stealth, and Flashback.
And we've got what we've got coming out, game that I'm sure
Spider-Man 2.
No, also we have got Alan Wake 2 coming out.
Yeah, I haven't gone back to Alan Wake 1 yet. I bought it, but I've not played it.
Did you buy the remaster?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. I completed the first one.
So, yeah, I think they're 2 different types of games anyway. So even though they've got the same sort of villains in it still, it's yeah, I think it's more of a horror.
I'll tell you one game I did go back to, which is in the same universe. I went back to Quantum Break.
I think I completed that. I got a funny feeling.
Yeah, I did, but I got it on again Humble Bundle, so I thought I'll load it up and I'll give it a go. But I've played. Oh yeah, definitely. But I've played what 26, 27 games since we last recorded.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, gone back to Unity as well because I got that on PC. And you know, that game is beautiful. It's actually better than Syndicate and way better. It's more, considering that was the beginning of like the Xbox One era, it looks more like a modern day one rather than, you know, the beginning of the last gen.
Because I think for the Series X they haven't spruced up some of those older ones yet.
No.
I'm aware of.
But to be honest, Unity doesn't need it because it is such a good looking game. Yeah, but I've been also doing a bit of retro stuff, you know, did a bit of Colin McRae 3 on PS2.
Yeah. How did you did mention it, how did you find the Robocop demo then?
The Robocop demo, I really enjoyed it actually. It's very faithful to the game. It's the original Robocop, you know, sort of like face, as it were, the actor.
The voice is the same guy, but it's a bit off, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
A little bit too Android-y, if you know what I mean.
I didn't think it was. I thought it was okay. Maybe it's something the more that you get used to it, the more that you play the game. But, you know, when you're doing your movements, you can certainly feel like you're more lumbering than, you know, like a Call of Duty or anything like that. They've sort of installed his movement speed and whatever in there as well. But yeah, it's really enjoyable. I mean, I'll play the video of it right now so that you can actually see it. So again, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. But on well, actually, yesterday I did the video of the demo up until like the end of the first sort of section of it, and yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I'd like to know how it sounds as well.
Well, the demo, I was playing it for an hour and 22 minutes.
What was that on? Is it on all platforms? Is it?
I don't know, but it's on PC that I got the demo. But it's really, really high quality. You know, in terms of the demo, it's not perfect, but I must admit, I'm not sure whether or not some of the jutteriness was because I was running it off hard drive rather than SSD.
Right.
Because my gaming SSD is sort of like maxed out, so I downloaded it onto my 4 terabyte hard drive. But I'll tell you one thing I did do, and I did an unboxing and review of this. I got this because I've upgraded to Windows 11. And obviously, and I've just done it in time because evidently Microsoft has taken away the free upgrade now.
Yeah. So
I must have done it in the last week without even realizing. But I got this. It's an enclosure for, you know, your SSD. So I actually I bought a new NVMe drive to go into my PC. So I took my old one out, put the new one in, and then put Windows 11 on it. And the reason why I did that was because I tried installing Windows 11 on this drive, and it kept failing. And I kept getting an error code to say, sorry, we can't upgrade it, try again. So I tried it 4 or 5 times. So I thought, right, okay, upgrade the SSD. So I got a new SSD, slightly quicker as well. But then obviously I'd already filled in my M2 drive slot on my motherboard. So I thought, well, what shall I do? So I thought, let's get an enclosure. And I was looking at all of the enclosures, and this one really caught my eye. And there's a reason. It's got 2 USB slots and also a micro SD card and an SD card reader. So rather than me having to sort of like mess around with my old SD card reader, which I can't seem to find at the moment, which is a horrible, like, little couple of quid one. I thought that, this is a lot better, and obviously it comes with a USB-C, but also a normal USB-A type connector, and this is fast as well. It's 10 gigabits. So it's not a slouch. But at the moment, I've still got Windows 10 on there. Just because I'm just running Windows 11 to make sure I haven't not transferred everything over, because there shouldn't have been much on my C drive that wasn't on other drives, just because of the way that I tend to direct all of my files to other drives rather than going on the C drive. But that's going to be my sort of like swapping gaming drive, so that I could then plug that into my Steam Deck and play games off it as well.
Cool.
So no point in wasting a good NVMe at the end of the day.
No, of course not.
And I've got another one somewhere as well, which has also got an NVMe. I've been going drive crazy because I originally backed up Windows 8 and I picked up this SSD because it was only a backup. And this cost 30 quid for 1 terabyte. 1 terabyte. It's off Amazon. And it seems to be all right.
Same as that one, isn't it? Same as them.
Yeah, but a bit cheaper. But what I'm planning on doing is putting that into this rig, because I've got a couple of bays at the other side of the, not this side of the glass, but on the back, that I can mount SSDs on, the 3.5 inch one. So I'm going to put, I've got a 512 gigabyte and obviously a 1 terabyte one. The 512 gig was off the mini PC that I showed you the last time, if you remember, which was this one. I put one of those drives that I've got there in this thing as my retro games machine, and I've still got to get round to setting up this Sinden light gun as well. I don't know why I'm stalling on it, but so I've got a couple of projects. So let's move on, shall we? Anyway,
take a break. I need to get some ice.
Okay.
I've run out.
He's run out. So good time to go over to movies, TV, and streaming.
In quest of a better life.
Right, so Steve's got his ice. So Iceman's back. So Val, any movie news from you? Because again, not an area I've been keeping a close eye on recently. Seems to be a bit quiet, other than obviously the strike.
That's yeah. I think they've sorted it out now, haven't they? I think
Yeah, I think
coming
so.
for close.
Yeah, I think they're getting there if they haven't
Yeah.
already
So
solved it.
not a great deal, to be fair. I think a few releases have now been delayed because of that, probably.
Yeah.
And I think did that include? I wasn't sure about Netflix with Cobra Kai.
Well, I thought they'd already finished filming Cobra Kai. And
Yeah,
that,
but I
so
thought it was out this month. Unless I'm completely wrong.
I thought it was out supposed to be in September, so maybe it has
Been delayed.
It'll be one of those things of suddenly it'll just appear, won't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
will do. So yeah, it's not a great deal going on at the moment. There's a little bit of there was a new trailer for the Doctor Who anniversary, which looks all right, to be fair.
Yeah, it looks all right.
That's David Tennant. Nothing not to like, really, to be honest.
No. I did read somewhere where they were talking about sort of like cancelling out the Jodie Whittaker timeline, which I think is unfair to her.
No, I think there was a spoiler on how they're going to regenerate into the new Doctor.
Right.
So I don't know. When they've gone back to David Tennant, you've got 2 more there, haven't you? So, or 3 more there probably. So, yeah, it's a bit weird. But no, the trailer looked all right. That's coming in November. So I look forward to that. No news on Bond yet, but there's talk of different directors now, maybe getting to do the new Bond movie.
Yeah.
Shouts out for that. Other than that, really, there's not a great deal. I mean, there's a lot of doom and gloom over the new Exorcist movie, which is absolutely diabolical. And David Gordon Green, who did the Halloween reboots, seems to think he can make a great movie. So, I'm trying to think now, what movie-wise coming out now, there's a couple of bits and pieces that have come out, I think, for Halloween time. Saw 10 is out now.
Yeah.
Which apparently is not to be too bad. I did listen to Mark Commode's review of it, because I did want to go and see it. If not, I'll wait, until it comes out on Sky or something. But it's doing really well, apparently. But no, not too much at the moment. I'm sure we'll hear things materialise, especially with the TV side, over the next month leading up to Halloween.
Well, to be honest, there have been a few TV things which I'll come to talk about in my bit anyway. Should do the cinema releases. So on the 9th of October, we've got Fire Rises. On the 10th, we've got The Idiots. On the 13th, the one that Steve was referring to before, he's looking forward to, Paw Patrol, the mighty movie.
Yeah.
We've got Taylor Swift in Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour. The Miracle Club, Smotherhood, and Daliland. And then on the 14th of October, we've got Speed. And then the 19th, we've got Leo. And the 20th, we've got Pillars of Flowers Moon, It Lives Inside, Troll Bands Together, 4, and A Mystery on the Cattle Hill Express.
A whole lot of that. It's going to go, wee.
Yeah, don't know.
Other
to
than
be honest,
Speed,
most of those. Yeah. But that's a documentary, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. There is if you're a football fan, which I know you're not, there's the new David Beckham documentary at the moment.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. They're singing high praise on it because it's really. My missus sort of turned her nose a bit when I mentioned it.
Yeah, Netflix recommended it to me. Seriously.
Did they? Yeah. Really? They got that so wrong, haven't they?
Yeah, that really is their algorithm getting it wrong.
Absolutely.
David Beckham.
But yeah, no, I mean, as a footballer, I mean, with England, it's not going to be your cup of tea. I mean, at the moment, there are a few one-nighters leading up to Halloween still for if you want to see the director's cut of The Exorcist. That is on in quite a lot of cinemas at the moment, doing one-nighters. Highly recommend that from my point of view.
I think they're doing a few, aren't they? Because they're doing Halloween and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, I don't know, if they're going to do Halloween, because I saw The Exorcist when I was 15. Halloween, the original, but I've never seen it at the cinema. I've only seen it on TV and video, VHS, and obviously Blu-ray 4K now. So I wouldn't mind actually going to see that.
Yeah.
So maybe that's coming out closer to Halloween. Yeah. So I mean, I think some of the older movies that are coming back for one nighters are probably better than what we're getting elsewhere at the moment. Blu-ray DVD rise is not a great deal. I don't know what's so The Exorcist, the director's cut, my Zavi edition, hopefully that's not coming out until the 23rd of October.
Yeah.
But I think the single 2-disc is already released already, I think, because I've seen a lot of reviewers with it. So yeah, but I don't think there's anything else. Other than, as I say to you earlier, I've now got that, which I'm really pleased to have in 4K. Because they are 3 great movies. It's the Cornetto box set. If you know what we're talking about, you know exactly what we're on about. Because they always fancy a laugh, and when you go things like that, just puts a smile on your face.
Well, Shaun of the Dead is still one of my favourite movies of all time.
Mm.
I watch it probably every couple of months.
Yeah.
My son loves it as well, ironically. But he loves the Cornetto trilogy. We've sat and watched all of them together. But he just, absolutely. It's quite amazing actually, because he's doing his A-levels and they're studying things like The Shining, because he's doing media. Like studying things like Shining and stuff like that, which is sort of like older movies in his age range. Do you know what I mean?
They are. I mean, if you get a lot of film schools, they will show movies like The Exorcist, for example, which is like 50 years old now, and they're still classics of their time, and they still make you jump. Well, not jump so much in that movie. They are scary movies, Not like some of the trash you get now, which is basically made up of jump scares every 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's why I'd rather go back to watch some of the older films of the 70s now than some of the trash that's come out over the last year. It's not a great deal. It's good stuff.
I did quite enjoy Doctor Sleep.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. That wasn't too bad.
But that was a follow-up to The Shining, wasn't it?
That's right.
It was a kid.
Yeah, because the book the book came out some time ago.
Yeah.
There's not. I mean, even I think if we look at what we got coming out shortly, there's not a great deal coming out at the moment.
No, I think we're in time at the moment. I think with movies, because I think that the Hollywood blockbusters, the ones that they thought are going to be the big blockbusters, are just not making the money that they used to. I think part of the problem is all of this, like the doing I've noticed with like the Barbie movie of watch it now while it's still at the cinema. No, don't do that. Have a separation of a few months. Make people go to the cinema. I mean, the cinema I used has closed. And I'm gutted by it. Although the good news is I went to Showcase Cinema at Stockton and they've completely revamped the inside of their cinemas now. It's not the old-fashioned, seats with like, the flower pot cup at the end of the arm. It's proper electric recliners, like what I was sitting at Catterick. So I'm going to be going back to Showcase now after 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, one of the other cinemas, the other one that was really bad, which is, I can't remember what it's called now. I'd go to the Odeon, but
Everyman.
No, there's one where they actually looks like they're going to be collapsing at the Cineworld. That's it. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're dreadful. Pretty bad, to be fair. But yeah, I can't believe 8 years ago we went to Star Trek.
7, isn't it?
Fairness, that because it just came off on my.
I know. I've just shared it with you 7 years ago.
Yeah, no, I got was it 7 years ago? Yeah, because mine came up with the girls, the Trekkie girls. That picture. That was then when you disappeared. I think you might have gone to the loo or something, or whatever it was. I don't remember.
No, I'd gone to see the Jadzia Dax presentation, or, talk.
Yeah. Anyway, should I read off this minimal list of Blu-ray, shall we?
Yeah, sure.
So we have Cry, the Beloved Country. This has come out October 9th. We've got Flying Witch Collector's Edition. Inside Man, which actually stars David Tennant and Stanley Tucci. I don't know.
And that is actually really very good as well. Yeah. I watched it. It's actually available on Netflix.
Okay. Medusa Deluxe. We have the Surreal Estate Season 1. We have The Crown Season 5. Long Arm of the Law Parts 1 and 2. Transformers Rise of the Beast 4K Steelbook and Blu-ray editions. Wonders of the Celtic Deep. And then 16th, we have that 100 Years of Warner Brothers collection that we spoke about last week.
Yeah.
Cinema charts. At 5, we've got The Equalizer 3. At 4, we have The Nun 2. At 3, we have Haunting in Venice. 2, Saw 10. And number 1, The Creator.
Which is a Disney movie. I've not even heard of that one.
Yeah, I've seen the trailer for it.
Oh, right, okay. So for Blu-ray DVD charts, we've got Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, The Little Mermaid 2023, which I've heard is absolutely awful. Number 3, we've got The Flash, which is absolutely brilliant, as long as you don't include anything to do with The Flash. At number 2, we've got Scream 3.
Because they're releasing the 4Ks, I think. That's what
right, okay. And then at number 1, we've got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So actually, have you seen it?
Yeah, I have now.
Yeah. Take it you didn't like it then?
It's all right, nothing great. It's not, ain't outstanding, personally.
Yeah.
It's a poor show, I feel. You know, they're trying to bounce off the good first 2 movies, but I don't think it works well.
Yeah.
Like most things from at the moment we're getting like that is it's all pretty poor show, to be fair.
It wasn't one of my favourites, I've got to say. I think that one.
I mean,
was the best one.
It was okay, but
yeah, it was entertaining. It was like Ant-Man, because a lot of people have gone on to this bandwagon. Again, a lot of YouTubers really criticising Ant-Man, Quantumania. It was a solid Marvel movie. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It was just a normal Marvel movie with amazing visual effects. But it wasn't as bad as people said. There was a lot of enjoyment to be had from it. I think that sometimes a lot of people, particularly YouTubers, seem to have this thing of it's great to knock Marvel because they would become an easy target for it. So no matter what they bring out, they say it's rubbish because they know they'll get people clicking on it.
Yeah.
And I've given up looking at them. I mean, it's like the other day. I actually got trolled on Facebook by this person, and it was actually on the Star Trek Strange New Worlds page, because somebody had started a conversation with I think they've got Spock wrong. And I said, well, I think Ethan Peck does a good job of Spock, but I said, personally, I think that Nurse Chapel is wrong, because her character's too much of a go-getter compared to how Nurse Chapel was in the previous series, because she was quite two-dimensional, quite timid, didn't stand out. Whereas, you know, the one that we've got here is a war hero. She's, you know, like seems to be the equivalent of a consultant, even though she's a nurse. You know, with all of her DNA resequencing and stuff like that, which I'm not really sure how that goes with, you know, some of the directives about, you know, the card alterations. They can change people's facial features using the DNA, but they can't make people's intelligence more, you know, better. It seems to be a contradiction. But there are a lot of things that contradict on Strange New Worlds. I still love the show, but, you know, yeah, and this person just started absolutely laying into us with it, to the point of I actually thought, well, forget this. So I reported him to Facebook and to the moderators because I just got pig sick of it. Just absolutely pathetic. You know, I said, and I think that my comment back to this person after, like, you know, they were saying, oh, I can tell the sort of household that you come from, that you were obviously an abused child. It's like, get stuffed. I had a good childhood. Do you know what I mean? They were like really horrible.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't agree with them, and that's it. I said, you're entitled to your view. I'm entitled to my view. It is free speech. And if you're such an expert on Star Trek, what you would have picked up is the fact that if you're living your life by the Star Trek way, you would be more tolerant of other people's views, which is clearly an element of Star Trek you have not picked up on at all. Goodbye. And then I just blocked them because I just thought, get stuffed. Just say, honestly, it started off as just a normal conversation with fans, and this person came on and just absolutely bombarded me. It was pathetic. It really was. But yeah, I don't know. Just one of them things. You get these things on Facebook, don't you? Or on Twitter as well. So anyway, shall we go on to what we've been watching? Do you want to go first, or shall I?
Go on, you go first, because mine's not very much anyway. So yeah, go for it.
Okay. First off, the show that I talked about before, which was Foundation. And there was some conversation, I think Craig, one of our moderators, said that he'd watched it recently as well. It's based on the Isaac Asimov books. It's on Apple TV, so I know that you're not going to necessarily, not everybody's going to have that, but it really is worth a look. There's 2 seasons of it. It's a beautiful sci-fi show, very accomplished visuals, good story. The second season really does a lot of character development on some of the other one of the characters from the first season, and Dawn, who's the emperor of the galaxy, basically. There's not Dawn, Day, and then there's Brother Dawn, Brother Day, and Brother, I can't remember what the last one was, Eve or something or other. The same person but cloned at 3 different age times in their life. And they rule the galaxy, basically. And he set up this thing of the Foundation because this scientist predicted that society was going to fall down and it was going to be darkness, and if we set up this foundation, it would mean that we recover from the darkness earlier. Well, it's a couple hundred, it's 100 or so years later, and Brother Day is, you know, his genetics are slightly wrong, which means that he's not getting in alignment with everything. And there's lots of plot twists and stuff like that, but it's really worth watching. There's so much going on in the show. It's a must watch from the start. So that's that one. Ashoka, season 1 has finished. So if you don't know who Ahsoka is, Ahsoka Tano was the Padawan learner of Anakin Skywalker in the Star Wars trilogy. So this is one of the other Star Wars TV shows. This definitely felt like this was a good show for Star Wars. You know, she's the character was very strong, but then again, there's been a lot of character development over Rebels and also Clone Wars of Ahsoka Tano as well. All the characters on the show were really well developed, and it was about the return of Grand Admiral Thrawn. So if you're not in the know, Grand Admiral Thrawn is a character originally from the Timothy Zahn books of Heir to the Empire. which was supposed to be, was like the written sequel to the original Star Wars trilogy. Not the prequel, so it was after Jedi, and it was about a Grand Admiral who basically almost took over the galaxy. Now, in this show, Thrawn did appear in Rebels, and there was another character who was like a Padawan Jedi called Ezra Bridges, and he ended up banishing Thrawn to a different galaxy by using these space whales. It's Star Wars. And he ended up going to that galaxy with them. And then so Ahsoka learns that there's this plot by these sort of like dark Jedi to bring back Thrawn. And that's where it starts all to kick off. And then they do go and try and bring him back as a result. And the Dark Jedi, the main Dark Jedi, is called Baylan Skoll, and he's played by Ray Stevenson. And this is a new character to Star Wars, as far as I'm aware. And unfortunately, Ray Stevenson passed away a couple of months after they finished the wraps with this. But he was a really good character. He was not an evil character, but he wasn't good. He was like a character on his own path, sort of thing. And his Padawan, she ended up splitting from him at the end of the series and going on her own way. But they were both very interesting sort of characters as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed this, and this is obviously set up now for the Thrawn Star Wars movie, which is coming out, because I think that, as you know, what they've been doing with Star Wars is taking a lot of what's been known as Star Wars legends, i.e. the Star Wars stuff that was non-canonized when Disney took over, and has been converting some of that into the Disney lore. So Thrawn is one of the ones that they've plucked out, and he's going to be the big bad in the next Star Wars, or one of the next Star Wars movies. I think after the Rey movie, if I remember rightly, which, let's face it, nobody cares about the Rey movie, or at least not original fans.
No.
Because she's just, just an overpowered character who has no reason to know what she does. Everybody else, every other Jedi has had to learn the powers. Somehow she just knows them. It's ridiculous. Definitely worth a watch. And what was really nice to see was Hayden Christensen reprise his role as Anakin in a couple of scenes. Not as Vader, but as Anakin.
Right.
Because obviously Hayden Christensen also appeared on Obi-Wan previously as well as Darth Vader. He was in the costume and you could see him when there was the fight, and it got half of the mask broken away. But yeah, definitely worth a watch is that one. And then the one I've been really waiting for, because it's named after my dog, which is Loki season 2.
Okay.
So that one has released. So this is following on hot off the heels of Loki season 1. In a matter of fact, it picks up exactly where the last one ended. After the events of Loki season 1, Loki is back at the Time Variance Authority. Although he finds out very quickly, it's not really a spoiler, that he's in the past of the TVA, which wasn't known to be happening because time was supposed to operate differently at the TVA. And then he's flitting back and forth between the future and the past, and the timelines, the whatever it is timeline is starting to branch off in all different directions because of what happened at the end of Loki season 1. And Sylvie, who's female Loki, obviously did something at the end of the last one to make that happen. And like now Loki understands why things were happening in the universe the way that they did, and he's not sure whether or not he should reintegrate what was happening. But the first episode's about introducing new characters like OB and stuff like that, who's the kid who was on Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. It's him, but obviously grown up, and he was also recently on Everything Everywhere All at Once, so he's quite used to multiverse sort of movies because he was on that. So yeah, it's only one episode in. They haven't done what they did with the previous one, which was to release 2 or 3 in the same week to get people going. We're going to have to obviously go episode by episode, but I'm not sure how many episodes are in this. I think there's might be 6. But yeah, nice to see him, back on the screen. I mean, Tom Hiddleston now totally owns that character. I can't imagine anybody else being Loki. A bit like, you can't imagine anybody else being Iron Man. It's Robert Downey Jr. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out. I'm quite looking forward to it myself. So that's on a weekly basis. So keep everybody up to date about that. And then finally, I've been watching Scream movies. Scream 1 to 3, actually.
Yeah, you need to watch the last 2 new ones as well.
I have.
Especially when you got your female version of you in one of them.
Yes, Hayden Christians. Hayden Panettiere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, she's in 2 of the latter ones. But yeah, Scream 1 to 3. And do you know what? I'd forgotten how much I loved these movies.
Oh, they're great. Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. They are so self-aware. And I love the fact that on Scream 3, they're shooting Stab 3, which is the movie that's based off the first one.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think now which film. Yeah, because I have watched them a few months ago when the new ones were coming out. I went back to a couple of them.
Yeah.
And rewatched them. But Wes Craven was brilliant with Scream. Just a real good show. Really enjoyed it. I didn't watch the TV show much. Not interested in that.
I didn't even know they did a TV show of it.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, but the last 2 movies have been pretty good as well.
Yeah, I can't remember 4. Can't remember anything that happened in 4 at all. I know I've seen it.
What they do is they either blend into each other, don't they?
They do.
So I can't remember where they got the set of the Woodsboro house. Was that in the 3rd one?
That was in the 3rd one.
Third one, yeah. And,
yeah, because the 3rd one was on the film set.
Yeah.
Because I remembered that differently. I had the Mandela effect on that because I thought Cotton Weary was on set, but he'd shot at the beginning of the movie. He'd shot a bit of the movie and he was talking about it, but because Cotton Weary got killed right at the beginning of the 3rd one.
Because that was his girlfriend was getting.
Yeah, but I remembered that totally differently. I remembered that to be much later in the film, not the opening.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just great watching those movies again. But ironically, I watched 5 and 6, and then I went back and watched 1, 2, or 3.
I'm trying to remember what 5 and 6 are now. I can't remember. They all blend into each other now.
Well, I can't really, can't really say, but it's got Wednesday on one of them as well.
Yes, yeah, that was the newer ones.
2023
and 2022.
Yeah,
that's the 2 new ones where there's a certain death of a character.
But I mean, it's hard to believe that Scream is so long ago.
Yeah, no, so Scream 1. Very
over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And
And also I loved the song from God, what's his name? The Red Rose. You know,
Seal.
No. The music in Scream.
Yeah.
When you hear the chime of the music and it comes in. I cannot for the life of me remember who he is, but yeah. I've got a lot of those soundtracks in a box set. The Scream one.
But of course, let's remember as well, David Arquette is also in the Quarry, who was I referring to. So he plays Dewey.
Yeah, that's right.
On the movies. Yeah.
And then if you watch the comedy version.
Do you know what? I put the comedy one. I put Scary Movie on straight after. I was just laughing my head off at it. It was just so funny. Especially when, you know, it's like he stabs at the beginning of Carmen Electra and he comes up as like a silicone implant in his knife.
Yeah. But yeah, no, they're a great film. I love them. They were bringing them out in 4K, aren't they?
Yeah.
They were doing them in dribs and drabs or a box set, but I think I'd rather probably have to get them individually or something.
Yeah, probably. I will do that, to be honest, because like I said, I absolutely love the movies.
I think, is it Scream 2 where you got the guy who's on about, he goes more into about the sequels, isn't he? Because it's just Scream 2 sequels.
Yeah, but then he comes back in a video on Scream 3.
That's right, yeah. He was one of my favourite characters from that point. I'm trying to remember the song. I think it's called Red Rose. I can't remember now. But anyway, that's by the by. But yeah, they're great films, and much as they become a bit more comical as they go on, they're pretty good.
Yeah, I mean the third one, it was much more comical in terms of its, its portrayal. You know, it's like almost to a parody of itself. But you know, it's like it's still such a good movie.
Yeah.
Totally enjoyable. So definitely worth a watch.
Absolutely. Say Courtney Cox as well. Nev Campbell, who's the screen cream for these ones.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, good films.
Yeah.
I remember what I've been watching now. So I can't remember what I watched. Did I talk about Megan?
No, this is that one about the robot, isn't it?
Well, I watched 2 robot movies.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it yet, Megan, a robotic engineer at a toy company, builds a lifelike doll that begins to take on a life of its own at her home.
Yeah, it gets very possessive.
Yeah, and with some very mysterious deaths of children and have you. I really liked it. It had a little it reminded me of Chucky in a way. I know it's not the same, but it had that element.
I completely get where you're coming from with that, because that's exactly what I thought as well.
Yeah.
So this is very Chucky-ish.
Yeah. And so I'd seen that film. So that was written by James Wan. So good quality behind that. The doll lifelike, that was incredible how they put all that together and how she looked, even though it was a real child playing it. And the other movie I'd watched, I think it was on Netflix, it's called Tim. Have you seen that one?
No.
So this woman goes to a new company. She's a prosthetics engineer. And she moves in, they give her a new home and everything else. And they got this artificial intelligence called Tim. And they say, well, you've got to have one. You're working, you have to have one at home. And she's trying to put her life back together with her husband.
Oh, yes, I have. Yeah. I've seen that as well. Yeah.
And that was really good. I didn't like the way it ended, because I felt the husband should have got a better raw deal out of that one, if you remember. And that again, Tim got possessive over the woman of the household.
Yes.
And started doing some weird things and dropping, he was being he I think he'd actually fallen in love with her to a certain degree, although he was an artificial intelligence. And the guy that played him was brilliant. He was like a butler in his own way, but he was really creepy. Should I tell you your program for today? He's like a real life version of AI that we have now with Alexa.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
a walking, talking Alexa. Yeah.
It was literally that. Shall I run the bath for you? I'll make the dinner for you. And the husband was like redundant.
Yeah.
That was on Netflix, if I remember rightly. Tim is.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
So two good spin on the AI intelligence. My third film then. This is on Netflix as well. It's called Super Intelligence. And when an all-powerful super intelligence chooses to study the average Carol Peters, the fate of the world hangs in a balance as the AI decides to enslave or destroy humanity, and it's up to Carol to prove that they're worth saving. And I'm not sure, she's been in a few movies, she's a very sort of comedy actress, but the AI intelligence had a voice. The voice was James Corden. So I doubt you'll ever actually get to watch this movie.
No, I will definitely not watch that. Because
watch the trailer though for it. It's all right. It's not a.
If it's got James Corden on, I'd rather lie in a bath of rats and I have a phobia about rats.
So he plays this. He's the voice of the artificial intelligence in this film. But again, this felt like another way of pitching war games to a certain degree. Even he does actually mention war games during the movie with all the noughts and crosses on the screen.
Yeah.
And he starts driving around in an electric car. She doesn't touch the steering wheel and he's driving everywhere. There's the intelligence. But yeah, it was all right. It's not going to win any Oscars or anything. But if you want something to put your brain in the bin, it's worth a watch from that point of view. If you're not a James Corden fan, then you might not want to hear his irritating voice, Haydn.
Yeah, definitely.
Other than that, I think we completed the latest season of I've forgotten now what it's called. Well, wait, so it's whiskey's getting to me. Young Sheldon.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
So we completed the latest season of that. He is grown up now. You will not believe how tall he's getting. And even his sister Missy as well. Yeah, it was a really good season with that. Really enjoyed it. It's left on a cliffhanger to a certain degree because Sheldon is now in Germany with his mum, while the dad is looking after his daughter and everything else has gone on there. And it was a bit sad at the end what happened, which I won't mention. There was a disaster. But yeah, really, and they picked up for another season. So
that's good.
It's a good show. I think we're on season 6 or 7 now, I think. And this is all on Sky. You could just binge watch it all, So, yeah.
Good stuff. Okay. Well, we're almost at the end, aren't we? So we'll go on to our listener questions.
John, what's happening to us?
All right, so listener questions, and Mark has, halfway through the recording, sent us in 2 questions.
So about tying it fine.
Yeah. So nice. Thank you, Mark, for sending those in. So he's said, how much do you want to know about big game releases in the build-up to its launch?
I think it depends what type of game it is. If it's an RPG, you stay away from the story. If it's a racing game, for example, like Forza, you're there looking at how the game's going to be looking, what's involved with it, how any different it is from the last game. So yeah, that's how I view it, really, to be fair. What about
Yeah.
yourself?
I think like with you, I'm very much sort of, it depends upon what game it is, because some games I want to know every detail about. So it's like Assassin's Creed games sort of thing.
As long as you don't mind hearing about how it's made and how they put it together, but you don't want to know the story. That's the bit you don't want to hear about. Same with Starfield and other games like that.
Yeah, basically. But then it's like, I'm just thinking about when I had the conversation with Out of the Bit. When I did the interview video about a month ago for the Xbox release of the game Full Void, and that was a game that I'd ordered on the Evercade, because I thought that would be really cool to play on there, because it feels like it's very retro-y sort of game, and it was really interesting hearing about how they made that game. And I think I had completed the game at that point, but it wouldn't have bothered me. Do you know what I mean? About knowing more about the game at that point. But yeah, I think it entirely depends. So yeah, do you want to do his next question?
Yeah, so he's saying, what's in your running for Game of the Year?
That is a good question. We're not quite there yet, I don't think.
I mean, there's a couple more games to come out. Big ones, probably.
Yes, there are.
Does that include DLC?
Well, DLC is not the Game of the Year. The whole game is the Game of the Year, isn't it? So that would include DLC.
Yeah.
God of War, Ragnarok.
What for you? This year? That's not this year, is it?
Ragnarok.
Oh, okay.
That was a good game.
But then again, Spider-Man 2 might pick it for you.
I think Spider-Man 2 probably will. Although, and I believe it was actually released this year as opposed to, although not obviously on PlayStation, but I picked up, it was last year, Final Fantasy 7 Intergrade, which is like the Final Fantasy but on PC. And I've started playing that, and my God, that game looks absolutely beautiful. I mean, absolutely amazing. The interesting thing was, though, it's the first time I've ever played a game where putting it on an SSD has mattered on the PC, because most of the time, you don't see the stuttering and stuff like that. But playing that game off my 4 terabyte hard drive, I was getting stuttering through the animations, so you could tell when it was loading stuff in. Whereas I copied it over to the NVMe drive, did a bit of swapping around, and it was as smooth as butter after that. So yeah, interesting. But I don't know. I really don't know yet in terms of what might be the Game of the Year for me. I'm going to be honest, I don't think it's going to be Assassin's Creed. Not because it's a bad game. I love the game. I just don't. If it had been Odyssey being released, that would still be the Game of the Year for me, because it was an amazing game, was that. But yeah, while I like it, I think that there are other better games that are out there. Yeah, so.
I mean, Starfield's in the running for me.
I figured that.
Diablo, I'm not too sure about. See how that game progresses.
See, Diablo's a bit dark and dingy for being Game of the Year.
But we do have Alan Wake 2 coming out. I'm not sure how that's going to fare.
What about Forza?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. So a good-looking game. It really is. It plays like a dream. It really does.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking. I thought that you might have thought Forza.
I don't know yet. I just say I can't. Because there's two different genres of games, isn't it? You see, where I love playing role-playing games. Like,
I think ask us in a couple of months. We'll tell you because we're
it's
in a
relationship. It's going to be tight. I know that it's going to be literally one in one hand, one in the other.
Yeah.
And then Cyberpunk as a whole as well. But if we just go into the next question, because that's going to be for you anyway.
Okay. So Paul Wilson has asked, after playing Assassin's Creed Mirage over the weekend, he's really enjoyed the smaller map and a tighter storyline. Do you think that huge sprawling RPGs with lots of empty areas are starting to feel like a bit of an outdated concept? I think developers' bragging rights about the size of their play area and huge amounts of hours to complete a game needs to be scaled back to a game offering quality, and top quality is a rare event in gaming. Yes, totally agree. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I think if it had a tighter story and, you know, more focused in terms of the map and the progression and improved the RPG elements of it, so you didn't have that never-ending skill tree, and you could see what skills were available, I think that would have been a far better game. Far better. I think I would have enjoyed it, even though I did think that England looked mucky and dingy, which I didn't like the way that, you know, because we've got beautiful countryside, but I just don't think it was reflected in the game very well.
No.
But in terms of most games, when they've got large maps, are way too big and are way too empty. I mean, it's like you look at, you know, even though it's one of my favourite games of all time, we've got to really say that Assassin's Creed Odyssey has vast areas of nothingness because it's the sea and there's nothing there.
No.
Whereas you look at, you know, other games and they're a lot tighter in terms of their areas.
Well, it depends again. That's the unfortunate problem is you're going to get Fallout 4, for example. The map was quite good, but you're going through the wasteland and everything else. But you had like different civilizations. You had different areas which was built up or not so built up because of the type of game it was. The same with the map for that with the sea. Also, probably helps you to understand that Starfield had the same thing because you've got hundreds of planets there, but some aren't going to be so populated as others, or they're just little outstations. So
yeah, well, when you look at like No Man's Sky with 14 quadrillion planets,
yeah,
it's like ridiculous.
You know, but
the entire human race in 100 years could not visit all of those planets.
No, but because they're sort of maps they are, and then you've got, well, with Cyberpunk, for example, you have got a standard map. There it is, that area, and that is a really good map. You know.
Yeah.
They've added to it. There's plenty of places you can visit. Obviously, there's places you can't, but it's part of the high streets of all the different places you're looking at. But yeah, that's how they work. You know.
I think the thing is that maps have to have empty areas, because you can't have something going on all of the time, because it would just, as you as a player, give you sensory overload and you wouldn't be able to cope with it. So I think that areas where, you know, like you can just go and have a bit of a mooch around as you do in Assassin's Creed and stuff like that, they need some empty areas. But I think that maybe where Assassin's Creed 1 and 2 did it better than maybe Odyssey even, is the fact that they had the thing of once you got to the edge of the map, you warped to the next condensed area. So while there was Spartan areas in that area, you know, you were never too far away from people.
Then you got a game like Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
Where you had forests, for example, with bears and wildlife in which you were part of the game.
Yeah.
But that's the same again. You could, the type of map it is, you're going to get this sort of sporadic areas that are busy and towns, and then you're going to get deserts, or whatever.
Yeah, it's real life. I mean, even where I live, it's like, between villages, you've got a couple of miles at least.
We got the New Forest around the corner.
Yeah.
And then you go to Cornwall, you've got half of that. It's like dense wasteland, down the moors.
Yeah. So, Nottingham Forest, if you're a Midlander coming from Derbyshire or somewhere like that.
Football. You've got Notts Forest there, and you've got Notts County there. They're across the river at each other, aren't they?
Yeah. So, yeah, it's natural to have areas of sparseness, and there's nothing the matter with that. But they need to be not too big, and maps shouldn't be too big where, like, it would take you literally hours and hours and hours to get across the map. Because if you ran from one side of the Assassin's Creed map to the other, it'd probably take you a few hours.
That's why I know the way fast travel works in Starfield.
Yeah.
Because you are fast traveling at the end of the day. You're in a spaceship.
I mean, even Assassin's Creed had, Odyssey had fast travel.
And
they improved that more by making the harbours fast travel points as well. Because before you used to have to unlock, the fast travel points.
Yeah, and the same in Cyberpunk. You've got these yellow booths which are blue with an icon on them. And you can go from one of those to another one, and you can travel across. But
yeah,
the fun of actually getting my motorbike out, and now I can actually use a weapon at the same time on my bike. Hey, I'd rather drive from A to B, to be fair.
Yeah.
So moving on then. So Jason Toon has said about, is Cyberpunk 2077 is it the greatest redemption story in gaming industry? Yeah, the anime, the new DLC 2.0 update, which is now 2.01, gives it new breath of life into once what was a troubled corpse of a game. Now, I didn't have, again, maybe I'm lucky, I didn't have that too many problems with the game. There's a couple of issues with the screen size fitting in the actual what I'm viewing.
Yeah.
But to be fair, with what I was lucky, I could play that first run I did, no problem, and loved it. I really enjoyed it. And the end of the game, where you go at the point of paths of no return, was a good storyline, and how that finished was interesting, I must admit. And it may well be a redemption story to a certain degree, because obviously it wasn't what was on the tin, was it, when it came out?
No.
And I think what they have done to the game, it's a damn good game now. It's really, it's. I know some people might think they won't want to touch it because of how they feel about it, but I would say give it a try. If you've still got it and never got it out, give it a go. Just don't worry about the actual, the expansion at the moment. Just start again from scratch.
Yeah. And
enjoy what that 2.0 update can do to the game. It's fantastic, really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
You might be surprised at my thoughts here, or maybe not.
Cool.
I'm going to say one of my greatest redemption stories in terms of games is Skyrim. Because if you cast your mind back to the PS3 and Xbox 360 era, you literally had upside down, backward flying dragons and stuff like that in the game, and it was a bugged mess. That was back in the days when everybody said, oh, it's charming because it's Bethesda, as opposed to getting really peed off with them and saying, I'm going to stop buying the games if they keep delivering this rubbish, which it should have been.
But they did actually, what they did to that game over the years, and when it became another edition.
Yeah. And that's why I say that is a big redemption story, because that could have killed them. And it didn't. They pulled it around.
Fallout 3 wasn't so bad. There may have been issues, as you say.
Yeah, but it's only there were, although I suffered from them badly, only slight in comparison to the multitude of issues that people were reporting with Skyrim, which everybody's forgotten about now, but everybody was complaining about Skyrim about issues, but nobody got annoyed with Bethesda back in those days about bugs.
No, I didn't. Did they?
It was always, oh, it's Bethesda and it's a feature. Yeah, no, it's because they had your beta test in the game, or could have been even argued alpha test in the game. But I think that's a big redemption story. But I've got two others. First off, how about Sony? Full stop. Because Sony got hacked. Everybody's details got released, blah, blah, blah. Lots of people lost money. And then Sony brought out PlayStation Plus. They gave you a free few games and they gave you it for, a little while. And then they made PlayStation Plus out of it and have turned that into a cash generator.
But I don't know about saying it's a redemption story, because then they ended up costing a fortune for it, a lot more money.
But people don't think badly of Sony because of it. But all of the free games and that, all of the what Xbox do, what PlayStation do now, in terms of those monthly free games, they all arose because of the hack that Sony had, and people seem to have completely forgot that.
What do you think about? All right, another one. Then what about Fallout 76? That's now turned out apparently to not a bad game.
Yeah.
When my fingers were burnt with that one, I've never really gone back to it.
No.
And there's now so many updates to it.
Yeah, there's a new update just come out as well, isn't there? Or an expansion for it. Yeah, I mean, you could quite equally, say Fallout 86. But another game that you could say as well is another Sony one, or at least it was exclusively Sony originally, No Man's Sky. Yeah, that game has really turned itself around, more so than Skyrim, because that went from being, this is going to be the greatest game ever, to Sony throwing them under the bus and being universally panned by almost everybody who played it. I think I was originally one of the very few people I know of who platinumed it or in its original form. But since then,
I mean, it's had loads of updates. I mean, those that play it now, it's loads to do and whatnot. Yeah. But there's one game that didn't have a redemption on it, I don't think, really, was Mass Effect 3, was it? The last one that came out?
Andromeda, not Mass Effect 3, because Mass Effect 3 did have a kind of redemption.
That was okay, but the Andromeda was a ball ache of a disaster.
I mean, they did try and improve it, but it never really worked. And then the modding community sort of sorted that out to a certain degree. But if you remember a little while ago, I did some videos about the different versions, modded and unmodded, but they weren't great. It wasn't. It was a step back. Considering it was next gen, it was actually a step back in terms of animation.
If you think about Assassin's Creed, didn't Unity have a bit of grief?
Oh, Unity was my other example of that. And if you play that,
remember game with the eyeballs and some of the characters, and it was
the mouth and that, because the face would disappear. Yeah. And if anybody wants to see what Unity looks like now, go and have a look at our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe when you're there. And on there, you'll be able to see, that game, and it looks beautiful. And it looks like a game released today, not a game released 8 years ago, 9 years ago, something like that. It looks like a brand new game that's a modern gen platform game. Basically, it looks absolutely stunning. I'm a great fan of it, and Arno, who's the lead character, was a model of Ezio. Basically, he was the same sort of like charming, roguey kind of character, with this very similar sort of outlook to Ezio. And it's a shame that he didn't get the recognition in his character that I think that character deserved, because I really enjoyed Unity once I started playing it. I started playing it and was put off by people saying about how buggy it was. I never actually experienced any of the bugs, to be fair, but it just put me off. And then I went back to it after a while because I got that game with my Xbox. You know, it was part of the deal that I got my Xbox One. And I went back to it and I absolutely loved that game. Absolutely love it. It's brilliant. So it's one of the better Assassin's Creed games.
Yeah.
So definitely keep an eye on that. Anyway, I think we've come to the end, haven't we? For another show. So Steve, do you want to give your contact details?
So Twitter, or X if you call it that, at Steve07. PSN, the real Steve07, because my other account is on hold, so I had to rename it and put a new one in. Instagram, the Vinyl Chews, YouTube, the Vinyl Chews, and Xbox is Steve07. And yourself?
So for me, I'm HERJ UK on everything, but so that's PSN, Xbox Live, and Steam. But you can get me on Pop Culture Gamers on Epic. Don't forget, we have our YouTube channel, youtube.com/popculturegamers. There is our Twitter account, Pop Culture Gamer, or X account, whichever way you want. We have a Facebook group, we have a Facebook page, and you can also email podcast@popculturegamers.co.uk. And don't forget, you can also listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, and whatever other podcasting service that you choose to use. But we have the podcast and we also have the vodcast version. So if you're listening on headphones but not watching us, then get over to YouTube and see some of the footage of games that you've missed from today's episode. And don't forget to subscribe.
Absolutely.
Like and subscribe.
All right. Indeed.
It is indeed. All right. So that's it for another week. So thanks, Steve, for joining us again. And it's a good night from me.
And a good night from him.
Good night.
Good night.